Ever since I've been seeing movies in movie theaters regularly, I've started noticing during Christmas week, a lot of movies are supposed to be released. Usually it's a large amount of movies, but normally our theaters in town don't really get all of them. 11 movies were supposed to be released in the movie theaters during Christmas week. We got 5 of those 11. I'm guessing the other 6 will be either released this week or we'll have a wide release in January, and so they'll be considered 2017 movies for me. The movies we did get, and hopefully I can make a review for them before the end of the year, are Fences, Why Him, Assassin's Creed, Passengers, and Sing. And the first one I got to see out of those 5 is Sing. So, Sing is the newest animated film from the studios that brought you Despicable Me and Minions and Secret Life of Pets. And as far as those movies go, the only one that I've really liked is the first Despicable Me. Despicable Me 2 was a letdown. Minions was okay, but a letdown. Still, I considered it a bad film because the first half was really good or funny, and then the second half just petered out to a miserable experience. And Secret Life of Pets is good, it's average, it's slightly above average, but disappointing nonetheless. And so now we have Sing. Sing is set in a world where animals are pretty much people. And even though this is definitely an ensemble cast, even though it's a bunch of different characters who are pretty much all main characters, I feel the most major character of the film, the one we stick with the most, is the koala, who is played by Matthew McConaughey. Now, as a young koala, he became entranced with theater and performance and the stage. So much so that when he grew up, he bought the theater that he fell in love with. Jump a couple years later, and that theater has become run down under his management. He hasn't had any major hits, any major breakthrough, so it's crumbling apart. The theater is about to be foreclosed on, and he needs some sort of plan, so he decides, you know what, let's make a singing competition. He offers up a prize for any ordinary person to come compete in this singing competition and possibly win the money, which due to a mistake is actually a lot larger than the sum of the money he planned to use as the prize money. But anyway, now we have a cast of characters as well with their own little stories and their own little reasons of why they want to sing. And so that's Sing, people. It's as simple as that. Now I do have to admit, I wasn't really looking forward to the movie all that much. I knew I had to see it, and I knew I was going to see it, but I wasn't excited for it. I wasn't thinking, oh, this is going to be the best animated film of the year. Definitely wasn't thinking that. But I will say, I did enjoy Sing. It wasn't a big surprise to me, but it was more of a, okay, it's pretty much what I thought it would be, but I enjoyed it. Even though I do feel it's overall an average movie, I did find myself getting attached to many of the different characters of the film. I liked Matthew McConaughey as this koala bear who's not a con artist, but he's a dreamer, and I love how they try to keep the power to this theater and do all these little shady things to make sure the theater's running, and I found those aspects of the film really funny and entertaining. Now I will say a lot of the characters from the singing competition aspect of the film do have pretty cliched or pretty overused stories when it comes to characters wanting to compete in a singing competition. And I do kind of cover the different stories that we tend to hear when it comes to singing competitions on TV, like American Idol or The Voice or X Factor or that sort of thing. You got Reese Witherspoon as a pig who is a mother to 25 children, not a single mother, but she's a stay-at-home mom with dreams of singing. You get that same sort of storyline you would expect from ordinary people becoming singers in these different competitions. Seth MacFarlane is a mouse that is kind of a Frank Sinatra type of singer. You know the type, I forget the actual name or the genre of it, but he's one of those guys that's full of himself, and He knows he's good and he says he's better than everyone else. He has this nightlife sort of style, knows he's gonna win the money, and so he starts spending it right away and stuff like that. He's the jerky character, but I really like him in this movie. And of course, loving the rock genre and the metal genre and alternative genre, I gravitated a little bit more towards the rocker of this singing competition, which is Scarlett Johansson playing a punk rock porcupine. And knowing this is an animated show and for families and younger audience, I knew this wasn't going to be like pure punk rock. It was going to be more of pop punk, but I like some pop punk bands. I mean, don't go into Sing, of course, expecting them to sing things that the band in Green Room sang. That's definitely not going to happen. You also got the shy elephant, who is a really great singer but is afraid to sing on stage. You get those kind of people in singing competitions. And we have Taron Egerton as a gorilla who is part of a gang. His father's part of this gang that does heists and robs people. And he just wants to sing. I have to say, I loved his storyline a little bit more than some of the others, but not because of how great it was, but more along the lines of how funny it was, because it feels like it is self-aware and trying to have all the cliches of like a son going off to a singing competition or some sort of competition that the father doesn't understand, and the father's like, "You're no son of mine," type of thing. I laughed a lot in the trailers because it felt self-aware, and it feels self-aware in this movie. I don't know if it really is, or if I just love those cliches because they make me laugh, but it follows that same storyline, that same cliched way where the father's like, "You're no son of mine," and then he hears him sing for the first time and he's like, "Oh, my son is amazing," and all is forgiven and stuff. It's really funny, honestly, how it plays out. And I think it's because I feel self-aware of the cliches without feeling self-aware, if that makes any sense. And the reason I rattled on with all these different storylines and the cliches is because I don't know what else to say about Sing. It's a pretty average movie in my opinion. And that's not a bad thing. I did enjoy this movie. I laughed a lot more than I thought I would. The movie definitely kept me entertained, especially since I used to watch all these singing competitions like American Idol and The Voice and X Factor. I used to watch those things, and if you're a fan of those things or you used to watch them, I think you'll enjoy Sing because it has that sort of quality to it. It feels like it just feels like a singing competition without being a singing competition. And of course there's a lot of music in this movie, and a lot of the songs I liked, a lot of the songs that I remember and enjoy, and sometimes it's just funny hearing it come out of animals' mouths. There are definitely jokes that fall flat in this movie, and there are things that feel just okay, but overall, I can't really think of anything really majorly bad that I can pinpoint throughout the thing. Maybe it's because there's a little too much music in this movie, and I don't mean too much music as in there's a lot of music, but more along the lines of all the singing competitors, all the different competitors, they sing different songs pretty much every time they sing. And that makes sense where, like, if it's a singing competition, but there's only just one show. They never get to a point where they're eliminating people. Instead, he's going to have one big show to start off with, and it's the lead up to trying to even complete the first show. And he has them practice different songs, and they just keep doing different songs during their practice instead of practicing one song and then getting better. That would have been interesting if they all had one song, and every time they sing, they get a little better, and then you finally have that show where there's that blowout, and you're just like, whoa, that was amazing, to show progression, but it really doesn't have that, but I understand why. It could be boring to hear the same song from the same people each time. And there is a moment where all the competitors have their low point at the same time, and sometimes those low points feel a little contrived and a little out of nowhere. And it is kind of weird when all of them have their low point and they start rising up, they start getting better, and then Matthew McConaughey's character dives into his low point. It does feel a little odd, so I guess I could say that about the film. But I definitely like Sing, and if this sounds like it's up your alley, if this sounds like something you want to see, then go ahead and give it a try. I'm going to give Sing 3 stars. So, did you see Sing? What did you think about it? Go ahead and comment below. If not, what is your favorite animated film with a lot of music in it? And if you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and check out my movie reviews. I've got movie reviews of 2015 and 2016. Though I am really behind on 2016. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.